Welcome everybody back to another episode of the World of Nutrition with our very own Marilyn Lemaire out of Hawaii. Excuse me. This show is a part of the World of Ability Podcast Network, which was started a couple of years ago. We have two great guests on today, Chastity and Patty. So I'm going to pass it over to Marilyn to get us started.
Yes, thank you so much, Emily, and thank you, Chastity and Patty, for being on. Let me give Chastity her introduction. So Chastity Wright is the founder of Thinking with a Twist, a coaching program designed to be an alternative or complement to therapy for self-aware women who know they need to put themselves first and want to feel more fulfilled in their lives. After years of pouring from her own cup, she felt empty, stressed, stuck, and even suicidal because life just did not have joy or passion anymore. That is when Chastity had to do something different than therapy and turned to coaching to change her life. Through pillars of deepening self-awareness, increasing self-love, and growing through a new self-expression, Chastity empowers her clients to fall in love with life again and know that they need to be selfish in order to be selfless. Chastity is also a TikTok coach and shares how TikTok and video creation is a self-love tool for anyone with an important message to share with the world. Chastity empowers her clients to twist their thinking about TikTok and, more importantly, about themselves so they can feel connected and love life again. Please take it away, Chastity.
Yay, thank you, Marilyn. And we have Patty's on the line to have this conversation. I'm so excited. So my journey, or where I kind of started was as a mental health counselor. So I started this coaching business in 2001. Before that, I was working in behavioral health. I worked with teens that had autism in the high schools. I worked with former foster youth, young adults that were coming out of foster care and didn't have anywhere to go and live, and help them with their transitional living. I also supported mothers and parents that were struggling with substance abuse. And then also in the later part of my career, I served people with major mental health illnesses like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and major depression. That's what ended up I was working in during the pandemic, right? A lot of depression rates definitely skyrocketed and increased over the pandemic. Do you guys know anyone that has mental health challenges? I'm sure many of the viewers do. Yeah. Patty and Marilyn. Yeah. And we might not be able to name those people, however, right? We know that we can see their struggle, and how do we help people that are struggling with those things? Do you guys know anyone with depression? Yeah. What are some of the major symptoms or things that you notice with people in your life, or maybe your own personal experience with depression? What are some of the major things that you notice about them?
I can answer that.
Yes, Patty.
I'm an expert of having depression around me. I grew up with a brother with deeply depressed and another brother with bipolar and addiction, alcohol addiction. And at some point in my life, I had depression myself. It looked different, the depression on me, than I look in one of my brother. It was interesting. One of my brother was just in bed and I couldn't do anything, motivated for nothing, low self-esteem. For me, my depression manifested in my physical pain.
Oh, powerful. Yes. Yeah, there's actually two different what I learned is that there's actually two different types of depression. One looks unmotivated, right? Unmotivated. Oh, I feel so bad. And then one feels like really self-critical. So really hard on yourself, never good enough, all on you. So it's can look really different. Some people can look at people with depression and think, oh, they're just being lazy, or they're not working hard enough. Yeah. And then for some people, like for you, Patty, that internal criticism and that hard on yourself, right? And that can affect our stress and affect our bodies. Yeah, totally. Thank you for sharing. And it's so interesting, like how these things manifest in our families too, right? Um, I in my family, there's also a history of substance abuse and depression. However, people are still functioning, right? They still go to work and they still make money and they still, right, have family dinners and stuff. But like uncle is like got anger management problems and like he's not dealing with his feelings really well, right? So for me, this manifested, one of the big traits was people pleasing. So this people pleasing, how I identify it, is putting other people's needs and desires above my own, or even fulfilling other people's needs and desires at the expense of myself. So this is this what made me feel like I lost myself, right? And if other people weren't happy and if they weren't good, then I did something wrong. I messed up. I'm terrible, right? So it's this constant like struggle of not feeling good enough and feeling like everything is on me. So those are the two like foundational beliefs that were driving so much of my negative thinking. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about today, is like we know that everyone talks about mindset being so powerful, and if we change our thinking, we can change our life. That's the premise of my business, Thinking with a Twist, right? But how do we change our thinking? Like, how do we put ourselves first, and how do we do that, right? And why is our thinking so impacting of our emotions, which impact our behaviors and impact the results that we get in our life, right? So there are 4 major beliefs that I'll talk about today that I think have us drowning in our negative thinking. So basically, there's studies that say that we have about 60,000 thoughts a day. Who here, if you guys can say yes, can relate to being an overthinker? Okay, we got multiple hands raising and yeses. Okay, yes. And you in the audience, you might feel that way too. You're an overthinker. So imagine, I think men have like 40 to 50,000 and women can have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Now imagine if you're like wanting to twist and change all those thoughts and like get a hold of, that would be very overwhelming, like not very possible. So what I have found is that, or what I have learned as a therapist and learning as a coach, is that there are foundational beliefs that are kind of at the core at all those negative thoughts. So instead of shifting the thoughts, if you go to work on the belief systems, then you can start to shift things, right? But when is our belief systems kind of put into place? What I learned recently at a seminar was that from ages 0 to 4 years old, about 60% of our programs or our beliefs are already put in place by the time we're 4. And then from 4 to 8, it's another like 20%. To 18 is another like 5% or so. So by the time we're 18 years old, 95% of our beliefs and programs are in place, right? And this kind of dictates how we operate the rest of our life and how we see things the rest of our life. Because our beliefs are like the filters or the glasses in which we see the world through, right? So you know how like you take a picture, you can put different filters and you'll look different, right? It's the same picture. The only thing that's changed is the filter, right? That's how all of us are. All of us are walking around with filters, looking at the world, and depending on what our filters are, is going to depend on what we see, right? So the filters is the beliefs. So do you guys want to know what the 4 beliefs are that drive so much of our negative thinking? Yes, okay. Okay, so the first one, a very common one, is I'm not good enough. So I'm not good enough is rooted in the fear of being unlovable. And this is a lot of times related to the low self-esteem, to the self-criticism and like that depression stuff. So it's like I'm unlovable. And I'm not good enough is also related to our lack mindset. So you know how you say like, oh, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. There's not enough good people out there to date. Not enough, not enough, not enough. So even when you're looking at the world through not enough, You're coming from that belief of there isn't enough and I am not enough. Yeah. So that's the first one. I'm not good enough. Self-doubt, loneliness, and a fear of being unlovable. The next one, this is the belief that drives a lot of our anger. So the belief that people should do things the way I think they should. This comes, right? Patty is like, ooh, that's a good one, right, Patty? So this is a fear of not having control. This comes from a lack of trust in others. It relates to a lot of thoughts of people who are annoying, people are irritating, what's wrong with everyone, and it's rooted in high expectations of other people. So this is the I like to call this one the road rage belief. So when you're driving and someone drives a certain way and you're like, frick them, right? What's the matter with these people? Why don't they know how to drive? That you're operating from. People should do things the way I think they should. Now, this is different from how we were raised, because my mom used to always say or people used to say people should do things the way I do, but that's not true, because you don't always do things great either. So you might not even be doing what you think people should do, right? So, okay, so that's the second belief. This next belief is related to a lot of trauma. So a lot of times if people have been through really difficult life experiences, maybe they've been in jail, been in abusive relationships, been living on the street or in unsafe situations, this third belief is going to be kind of a core one for them. And it's the belief that I am unsafe. So this comes from a fear of danger, right? So it's also related to nobody disrespects me, the world is a dangerous place, and I have to protect myself from others, right? And you might hear that one, no one disrespects me. You might hear that and think, yeah, that's good. You're nobody should disrespect you. That's a good thing to believe. It's not, because it's still dictating how you feel based on other people's actions, right? So if you go to Walmart or you go to the grocery store and you go check out and the lady is rude to you, if you operate from no one disrespects me, she thinks my money is counterfeit, or she's being rude to me, I'm gonna call your manager. You can make a really big deal out of this person having a bad day, right? If you don't have that belief that you have to defend yourself and you're not unsafe, then you might just walk away and say, that person's having a rough day, glad I'm not them, and continue with your day, right? Now, depending on where you come from, that belief can be different in a root, right? Because if you're in prison or you live on the street, if you let people disrespect you, you're in danger. Those are dangerous living environments, right? So a lot of the people that I have worked with living in those situations, that belief stands true for them even in their recovery, and it's difficult to let go of. The next belief, the final one. So this is the pressure belief. How many of you guys feel stressed? Stress is a thing for you. Yes, stress. Okay, so this belief is a lot related to that, those negative thoughts around stress. And it's the belief that it's all on me. It's all on me. So this is a fear of others. This is related to the people-pleasing thoughts and self-blame and high expectations of yourself. So the other one is shooting on other people. This one is shooting on you. Yeah, don't shit on yourself. It's also related to social anxiety. I have a cousin, every time she goes to the store, sometimes she just feels like everyone's staring at her, right? So it's everyone's looking at me. Everyone expects things from me. It's all on you. These people that have this strong belief also have a difficult time asking for help. So those are some of the beliefs that I work with, and throughout different tools and techniques around self-love, self-expression, using videos to see yourself differently, get a different perspective on things, and utilizing also mental faculties and the universal laws. I work with people to shift these beliefs so that they don't have to keep drowning in those negative thoughts. Yeah. Which belief do you think stood out for you the most, Marilyn, that I shared today? Number 4?
Actually, a message, Patty. I was like, I believe number 4.
Your belief number 4. Okay. Can you share why that resonated with you so deeply, or how that, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel it is all on me, with the things that's been happening during the pandemic, my family is looking towards me to take care of them. People pleasing, I'm a recovering people pleaser. And then I have high expectations of myself, and then the social anxiety, I have to talk myself into getting into my car and driving to a networking event or driving to a place where there's going to be people, you know. So I
Yeah.
was like, that really
Wow.
describes me.
Wow. I mean, I've known you for a little bit, Marilyn, and I feel like I know you a little bit deeper now that I know that that's a belief that kind of that makes sense. Yeah. And it's tough, right? It's like, okay, I know this now. What do I do with that? How do I shift that? Yeah. So thank you for sharing, Marilyn. Thank you for sharing. Me and you can talk later too. And you know where to find me, so you know where I can get some tools. How about you, Patty? What was a belief that stood out for you?
We the cheat sheet over here for this. Like, all the beliefs, all the characteristics for each one because they're golden. But I was like trying to type here, like, oh, wait, come back, slow down. It's interesting because I saw some of the characteristics in different ones, but what stood out for me was the one that not good enough.
Yeah.
That one was and I could see, like, after doing a lot of self-development, I could see that I always compare myself with my oldest brother. And he was this like genius guy. Everything he did was well, right? So nothing that I did was good. So for me,
Ooh.
I always comparing to him, and I was never good enough. So it was hard to live on that expectation that it was just myself putting on myself, right? It wasn't like my father or my mom or even him putting that expectation on me, but I put a lot of expectation on myself. And then I got disappointed with myself because I couldn't do things that he could.
Totally. And then it's that vicious cycle, right? That lower self-confidence, you're not good enough, doubting, and feeling alone.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of that one too, is
I have
that
a question for you.
loneliness.
Can I ask a question? I'm allowed to ask.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I have a couple more
What is
minutes.
what is the difference between like a self-confidence and self-esteem?
Oh, I don't really think that there's a big difference of it. For me, I think confidence might be more in the expressing of yourself. So, like, these are my characteristics, and how do I express that in the world? That takes confidence, right?
Mhm.
Self esteem might be more internal for me, like how I see myself, my value in and of myself without anybody else. So, that's to me, I guess, what I would say is a difference in like self esteem is who you are to you, self confidence is like your ability to share yourself with others. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great
Yeah.
explanation.
Awesome. And I also am putting together, so this might be good. You asked for a cheat sheet. So I'm putting together um, a little ebook that goes over all these 4 different beliefs and kind of lets people explore which one is theirs, which one is their two. Usually we have 2 top ones versus the other 2 that are kind of like most prominent for us. And then lets you explore like where some of your thoughts are coming from that and kind of build your self-awareness, and then gives you a couple tools and activities to help twist your thinking and work through that. So that will be on my website soon at thinkingwithatwist.com. So you'll be able to find that and yeah, check it out. I hope you find value in it. Yeah. And you can also find me on TikTok at Thinking with a Twist, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the sites. TikTok and Instagram is probably the best place to check me out, see what videos I'm posting. I'm actually going to go on a worldwide trip next year or this year. So in April, I leave and I'm going to go to 12 countries in 12 months. So that's also an exciting thing to kind of follow me on my adventures and see what content in the different countries I go to. I want to learn more about how they manage their mental health and what is a part of their culture that helps them to be emotionally and mentally strong as well. So stay tuned for those things. And of course, I'm going to eat delicious food because I have a segment called Food for Thought. So that's a fun one to stick around for. So yeah, I hope that is able to give you guys value and support.
Chastity, what are the 12 countries?
So I'm going to go to 4 in Asia: Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, and Japan. I'm going to go to 4 in South America: Mexico, Colombia, Peru, and Argentina. And then I'm going to go to 4 in Europe: Portugal, Spain, Istanbul, and Morocco. Yes. Yeah. I don't have any children, and I only have my little doggy, and I don't have a partner. So I was like, I'm going to travel. Like, that's part. I love meeting new people. I'm very passionate about learning new things, and what a better way to do that, than to go around the world.
Is the little puppy going with you?
No, he's going to stay home. I'll find him a bonus home in Hawaii. He'll stay here with his family or friends.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing about leaving is him. I was crying at Christmas. Like, I'm going to miss him so much. But yeah, thank you, Emily, for that question. Do you guys have any questions or comments? What's a takeaway if we have a couple minutes, what's a takeaway that you guys might have to share? What's something that stood out for you?
For me, it was the number 4 pressure belief, and I would go ahead and challenge the listeners, the viewers, to think about which belief stood out to you as well, and why, and explore that.
Totally. Thanks, Marilyn. Yeah. Any thoughts, Kurt or Emily?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's all very important, and so
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for the chance to share my mana'o with everybody else. And I'm so stoked to hear what Patty's going to share next.
Well, and I just want to say how important it is for us to, what you teaching us here is to show our beliefs and how it impact our lives and what we do and how we feel in the world. So it's super important. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Patty. Love you.
Oh, so powerful. Thank you. And so, yes, follow Chastity on TikTok. She also has Business with a Twist as well, where she gives business tips. And it's all these fantastic nuggets that you can incorporate into your business. And next up, we have Miss Patty Hoyt. She's a certified life coach, Revelation breathwork facilitator, Reiki master, neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, Hawaii Huna practitioner, and the founder of the Art of Being podcast. She helps people go inward, uncover and overcome what is holding them back from achieving even greater success and go after their dreams. Patty focuses on the connection between the emotional body, physical body, mindset, and their higher self spirit. She is passionate about guiding people to see, be, and feel the light inside of them so that they can feel empowered to pursue their dreams and be happier from the inside out. Thank you so much for being here, Patty.
You're welcome. I'm so thrilled to be here with you, Marilyn and Chas, to share this stage with you ladies. I love you both. So inspiring. It's interesting to be here just by myself talking, even though I'm seeing all of you. But I love to add a little bit of the story. Earlier today, I was interviewed for another podcast, and that podcast was about like, if you had any shoulds in your life, and I have to think about, and what I notice is that I had a lot of shoulds growing up, and that affected my whole entire life, right? Because when I was young, as I had mentioned earlier, I had brothers with, two brothers with mental health issues. One was depression, actually two, depression, and one bipolar and drug addiction. You know, I had a father who is alcoholic. So I saw all this dysfunction like as I was a kid, and I look around and say, wow, my mom had her hands full, right? And I didn't want to be one more burden in her life. And then I said, okay, I should not express my feelings to her. If I was sad, if I was angry, if I like, okay, I should not bring more worry to her. Therefore, I'm going to keep all of what I'm feeling for myself inside of me. And what happened is I learned how to not feel my feelings. I got like I was an expert. I was an expert on not to feel my feeling. And I was able to hide from everybody what I was feeling, how I was feeling. I was able to do that, but that created so much chaos inside of myself. Right? It's we were talking about with Chess about depression. So I see depression around me. So I said, I'm going to be the most positive person. And my slogan was like, enjoying life intensely. That was my slogan. It's like, I don't want to be in the bedroom or suffering and doing those things, right? So that was my thinking. How can I avoid being what I was seeing around me, right? Unfortunately, I was not in touch with my feelings, and that took a toll on me and my body, right? That affected my mental and my body, because what happens is I started getting physical pain. All of this that was inside that I was not allowing to come out and feel my feelings, it was like a bomb inside of my body. And I created this chronic pain that I spent years dealing with that, like 20 plus years. I think it was probably like 25 years when I go back and look, like when was the age when I first had the physical pain, and one is like that I really overcame, right? And it was like 20 to 25 years dealing with that. And that affected my mental to the point that I had depression. I remember until today when my physician, my family physician, every year I do my checkup, right? And he always asks, did my blood test? It's always good, nothing like technically wrong with me, right? But throughout the year, I would complain about pain. I would ask him and he would send me to a specialist. I was like, okay, this pain show up now it's in my lower back, now it's in my shoulder. You know, have you ever had like a nagging pain? And you can unmute yourselves, let everybody hear your voice.
I have in my shoulder, in my neck, and
How
in
about you, Marilyn?
my lower back too.
Lower back, yes.
I had in my heart and then in my head.
So those little pains, right? That it's a nagging pain. It comes and go, or it's not too much, but it's there in the back. You kind of feel it like, And what happens is that's what was happening to me, starting those nagging pains, and it started to increase and increase and increase. And I was going to so many specialists, and none of them could figure out what was wrong with me. And it was so frustrating. And that created so much disappointment. I'm like, I need help. Nobody's helping me. I could see my body deteriorating to the point that, you know, I loved going out. I loved dancing. I'm Brazilian, so I love to dance, right? So for me, one of the things to enjoy life is go out and dance. And every time that I would go out with my girlfriends, I would call one of them and ask, hey, 2 questions. How far are we going to park the car from the nightclub that we're gonna go? That was question number one. And second, like, are there going to be any tables or seating inside of the nightclub? And I'm sure they had no idea. For the longest time, they had no idea. But the problem is, I knew if we parked the car more than a block from where we were going, I could not walk. I could not walk more than a block, right? Then I had to figure out what shoes I was going to put it so I could walk that distance, right? And then over there during the dancing part, I knew I couldn't dance for too long because my feet were going to hurt. My lower back was going to hurt. So I needed a place that I could sit and rest and then go back and dance. But nobody knew that. I was suffering alone. And I wanted your audience to think, are you suffering alone? Are you going through whatever you're going alone? Right? And I did, for the longest time I did. So forward, one day I'm with the doctor, and I always minimize my pain to everybody, to my doctors and even the specialists, because I didn't want them to think I was crazy, right? Because I had heard from a few doctors saying like, oh, you do not have this, you're too young, it's probably nothing. Like, but I'm having the pain. What is this? Oh, there's something wrong with me, right? And my doctor, this day, end of the year, he went through, I'm going to age myself here, right? And back in the day, the charts of a patient, it's paper. It's not in a computer. So for 10 years, my folder was like this high, right? This high. So he asked like, how's everything? Everything is fine. Look at this. Stars, your blood test is awesome. Any complaint? He closed my chat. I was like, well, doctor, I still have physical pain here and there. And I start talking very slowly and calmly, like minimizing my pain that I was having. He started reading through his like thick book of my history. He realized that I always complained for 10 years that I've been seeing just this one doctor. I had complained every year, complain about this. He closed it. He said, okay, I'm going to tell you something that you're not going to like it. Most of my patients don't. They usually don't do anything about it. But I'm going to tell you. I was like, oh my God, what is it? It's like, you have depression. And I was like, whoa, what are you talking about? I'm the most positive person, I go out and I do things. This is my slogan. I'm not in bed, crying, depressed. No. And he said, well, depression manifests in people differently. Yours is being manifested in your physical pain. Like, that was mind-blowing for me. It's like, whoa, what? But then immediately I said, okay, that's what I have. Let's chop. Let's take care of this. How do I take care of this? How do I, take care of this, remove this out of me so I can continue enjoying life, So I went into a journey of really looking at myself. Chastity, you talk about beliefs and thinking in mind, right? I didn't realize one of the exercise that my psychologist told me, well, first I went to a psychiatrist, but that's, when finally I got to the psychologist, he had me write all my thoughts that I had throughout the day. And I was in shock how many negative thoughts it was running in the back of my mind automatically. How many negative thoughts was happening in my brain that I was not aware of. So it's over there in the subconscious mind. And in the minutes that I push forward to my conscious mind, I look at and like, whoa, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm creating on a daily basis, right? So I changed. I started changing my thoughts. I started changing how I was seeing myself, the critical that Chas just talked about, right? I saw myself as